I don't know. Anyways, today we are talking about the one thing that should be like when people think of Vikings, and that's their weapons. So in Viking society, all men were obliged to carry weapons. They needed to protect themselves, but also protect their families. Because remember, Viking society had no real laws, right? The only real regulations they had was if you kill someone like unjustly, you'll be outlawed. That's the sort of the only real regulation there is. Welcome! Do you want to join my class? Anyways, so poorer men would only have an axe and a shield to defend themselves, so they would just hang it up the wall, right? If they're lumberjacks, they just carry it around them. Whereas wealthy men would also have helmet, armors, and sword and spear. Now, bear in mind that swords are the symbol of wealth and power, because the swords are primarily used for battlefield, right? So if you have a sword, that means you fight a lot. That means you have power. So, swords. To be given a sword was to become more or less officially, right, part of the social elite. Viking poetry, like sort of Beowulf is big Viking poetry. So Viking poetry is usually made to praise chieftains and kings, right? They frequently mention the swords of the rulers and his finest warriors. So they would name their swords funny names like Snake of Wounds and Flame of Odin. And I guess if Ray got a sword, he would name it, I don't know, Brand of Lewis or something. I don't know. Oh wait, no, it would be Ruler of Calculus. Ray would name a sword like that. Sword blades. I need a diagram for this. To make it look interesting.
Sorry, Lewis, I need to interrupt you. Where's Angeline today in the town?
Oh, she's taking a test for trends. She'll be back afterwards.
That's right, I just need to know where she is. No,
So,
you can sit in the front. Sorry, Elizabeth?
She's
Yeah. Annabelle's in the... Alison Lyons?
I think I saw her today in trends, but I'm not sure where she is.
Jennifer? Teddy, well, I don't know where Teddy's gone.
I also
Yeah.
Elizabeth, yeah?
She's absent.
Oh. Okay, sorry, Lewis.
Okay, so sword blades started off being single-edged like a katana. So there's only one sharp edge for like hacking and smashing, and no, not smashing, for only hacking. And then this edge, this blunt edge, will be used for other stuff like hacking, blunt damage, basically. Their swords will have a dented line in the middle of the blade. Okay, like at first it's like this, and then as time passed, it became a double-edged sword. So both sides would now be sharp and can cut you. Their swords have a dented line, a dented line in the middle of the blade to make it lighter and easier to handle. But when I studied this, I just thought that they would like to stick their enemies with it, and then their enemies' blood will come, because these are holes, right? This thing, the sword. Swords are like that if you like turn it over. These are the little dented lines in there. So I just imagine they'll stick their enemies with it, and their blood would drip down here, and it's like, blah, But anyways, the basic hilts, right, were made of antlers, so deer horn, while others were decorated with silver or gold. Pommels. Pommels. Where did I get that? I forgot. Pommels were attached to the end of the hilt and was made with iron or copper. Viking swords were typically 90 centimeters long, so it's like Yeah. Scabbards, so 剑鞘, scabbards, was usually made out of leather or wood. It's usually wood because leather is gets flat easily. Next up, we have axes. Axes are the weapons of the common folk. You know, they were made out of iron and were decorated with silver, copper, or even gold. You know, the axes that they carry in war are called battle axes. This is a Dane axe, like a Danish battle axe. It's a really cool axe in like a part of Scandinavia, Dane. They have, so let me draw a battle axe for you. So if a normal axe is like that, right? That would be like sort of a battle axe, but more of a choppy chop wood axe. Right? Battle axe. This part, it will be longer, and then this part will be longer. So it's more like an executioner's axe now. And it's a battle axe. They have longer blades than normal axes and projecting spurs. So spurs, and like they're longer. Now, one of the most famous Viking axes is called Hel, basically, which belonged to King Magnus of Norway and Denmark. He inherited this axe from his dad, which is like a transfer of power. So Vikings like to give, so I don't know, they're religious people, I guess. They like to put special meanings inside of things and pass them on as a symbol of power, really. Viking society, these would be amulets, little knives, swords, axes, you know, it's passed on, basically. Some Viking axes are given to specifically trained warriors that can cut through chainmails and helmet. Now here's a little 知识普及 for you guys. I need the erase.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. So here's a 知识普及 for you guys. Quick tip, basically. So you know chainmail, right? These little iron things linked together. You know, this makes it impossible for swords and like bladed weapons to go through, because it's literally iron beads. You know, your sword comes, it'll block it. Although it will hurt you, but you won't get cut. So it won't be lethal. So technically, in medieval ages, the knights would wear chainmail underneath armor. And armor, man, armor can already block all like bladed weapons like swords and axes and arrows and all that. This armor combined with chainmail is basically impenetrable, right? So what happened later was that they ditched swords and axes and switched to blunt weapons like hammers and war hammers and truncheons. So warhammer, there would be like this thing here, for blunt weapon, for smashing their chests in, and then there would be like a blunted surface, and that's basically the hammer. So they all switched to hammers and like blunt weapons. You know, it's like bringing a baseball bat to a fight with a SWAT team, basically. However, some axes were given to warriors who specifically trained to cut these chainmail things. So really, really strong, and so they have like technique. You know, they know where soft spots go on. They can like dismember them. A famous poem described King Magnus splitting skulls like firewood with this axe. Look how happy he is. So there's a specifically trained group of axemen called traditionally, no sense, they're called berserkers. You know, very, very angry dude. You remember that guy who ate a mushroom in the anime? Yeah, that guy ate a mushroom, he's gonna turn into a berserker. You know? So really, literally, these are people who are too angry to die. Right. So they're so strong, you know. So they can block and they can hook, you know, so they remember axes, there's these parts, right? They're so strong they stick the axe out, hook your leg, and pull, and they'll break your leg.
Wow.
Basically. So strong, man. They're probably just high on drugs. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, spears. There are two kinds of spears in Viking society. There's the heavy throwing spears and the lighter thrusting spears. So heavier ones are usually longer, and lighter ones are usually like smaller, thinner. Still long, but just thinner. The heavy throwing spears are more common though. The spear, because it's like made fashioned from Odin's spear. So, boom. So the spearheads are made of iron and could be up to 0.5 meter long.
Wow.
You know, it's really, really long. So it's like that long. Spearheads were leaf-shaped and had a rib along the center of their shoulders. So, yeah, this point will point out for like they can lodge it into this part more easily. The shafts of these spears could be up to 2 meters long, and ideally were made of ash wood, which is like flexible and not easy to be like cut in half. So here's a bit of Viking culture for you. So you know Vikings, they have battles, right? And battles between like indigenous Viking groups. Sometimes one group would throw a spear over the enemy, so they won't hit the enemy, they'll just throw it over them, like during the beginning of a battle, to signify that, oh, battle has begun, prepare to die. You know, so similar to, so this is like a payoff to Odin, who threw his spear in Ragnarok, like the end of worlds, as a way, you know, as a way of sacrificing the enemy to Odin, which is the war god. One of the Norse war gods. There's like three or four war gods. Now, next up we have bows and arrows. So bows and arrows were extremely popular. This is mostly because of the fact that Vikings, they did not like to wear, I don't think they even have the materials to wear like traditional, traditional armor, you know. I don't think they even have the supplies to wear. Also, it's because like inside the armor, it's either really hot or really, really cold, you know. And in Scandinavia, it's usually raining and cold, so they would almost always just skip this, just wear the chainmail and have like a coat of fur over them. So bows and arrows, they're effective. Bows were made out of wood, not plastic. Arrowheads are made out of iron, and their flight ends with feathers. Oh no. And quivers made from leather and wood. Next up we have armor and shields. So Viking shields, they were made out of wood, you know. This is really accurate. Like, I think this is one of the only things that How to Train Your Dragon got right, is that their shields are really nice. They have iron bases that cover the hand grip and protect the hand. So this thing, it would transition under the shield and form into a loop where the Vikings would basically do this to hold them. Or this basically. So it's like a hand, not a strap, like Captain America or whatever. It's like they'll hold onto each, okay, this is the bad one. So there will be like a handle, like a rectangular handle there. Their diameter is usually 90 meters long. They're covered by 90 centimeters long. So, bro, imagine this thing 90 meters long.
You don't need it.
Bro, the Kylie.
Wait, 9 centimeters is only this much.
Nine-
No, 90 meters. That's what you said.
centimeters. So nearly 1 meter. So it covers nearly their entire abdomen.
Like, they're very short.
90.
That's centimeters. The 10 centimeters.
Okay, so that's for their shields. Now helmets. Plot twist. How to train your dragons lie to you. They're filthy liars, man. Social media lie to you. You know, there's no horns. There's no horns on helmets, man.
Oh, yeah.
No. There are no horns. It will be like, bro, if you got a helmet, like, screw it. Yeah, if you have a helmet, boom, 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 boom. If you got a helmet like that, man, you wear it out to the battlefield, you want to swing your sword, you get blocked by your horn. Bro, it's inconvenient and there's no way.
Like a bow, hit by the people.
You won't. Bro, the other side will be wearing helmets as well, so it's not.
Not
Plus, I
just
think the horn is really.
Unnecessary.
I don't think. I mean, it's more fragile than armor, so break easily, and no one wants to like have that little thing on there, right? So, well, it's just an inconvenience, right? Because helmets are already really heavy. You add horns on there, I don't know, man. So helmets are made of iron and leather. You know, they were conical or round and had nose guards. The armor was mostly leather, you know, basically. Chainmail was available but expensive, so only wealthy people can afford them. Now on to Viking warfare. So there are 3 reasons why Vikings fight. So first, they had an inhuman desire for wealth and social stature. Now remember that when they they don't value wealth as wealth. They value wealth as land. You know, because they need to give their plunders to their chieftains. In turn, they'll receive land. You know, so it's like a trade-off. Anyways, they prize wealth again, but it's not like they don't like wealth. You know, so they prize wealth highly for its own sake. You know, they gladly accept tribute offered by their would-be victims rather than fighting them. So Vikings, they also prefer not fighting. You know, who doesn't like a little, baige, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, wealth, also, apart from non-portable land, wealth also came from silver and gold, you know. So, wanna know? You'll be rich. Now, Vikings, they had a strong desire of honor, prestige and power. Viking chieftains got their power by sharing their wealth with fellow warriors, basically befriending them through gold. It's like raise my friend because they bought him. Yeah. So when people see that the Viking chieftain is generous, they'll become loyal to him, right? Because you're gonna get gold from him. You work for him, get rich. Now, who doesn't want to work for a guy like that? So when they're loyal for him, they'll fight harder and get more treasures. And when the chieftain gets more treasures, he'll share more treasures with his people, and the cycle repeats. So that's basically, they really like money. They really like their boss. Third reason is that basically because they can, they have new technology, which are long ships, which are long ships. Yeah, they have Viking long ships, which is like sneak attack vessels, that can crush traditional medieval navies, basically. So now, here we have tactics. Vikings are sneaky. They're sneaky. They're the sneakiest. Their main strategy is to suddenly pop up next to a village, raid it, and leave before any strong army comes to subjugate them. So it's really like flies nagging at this really powerful guy, and then it's like that mosquito. You know it's there. It bites you. You can feel it, but you just can't You just can't seem to smash, those are Vikings. At first, raids were small scale, only consisted of a couple of ships and 100 or so soldiers. And they will only raid like island monasteries, and like churches and charity buildings and all that.
Wow.
Because no one in the mainland dares to get them because they're protected by the faith. If you get them, you'll be excommunicated basically. Later raids, though, beginning in the mid-9th century, had hundreds of ships commanded by multiple united leaders, like a formidable alliance. Now, as their sizes grew, they became more ambitious. At first, those small-scale raids, they would only pillage in the summer and went back to their homeland to enjoy the spoils of war and wait out winter. But they eventually began to pillage in winters as well. They're like, screw it. Why don't you just make it my full-time job? Then I conquered those lands, making them permanent settlers, basically. However, the people in mainland Europe grew smart. It's like you finally decide to spray yourself with anti-mosquito lotion. You grew smart. They grew smart. They were able to adapt to Viking tactics, like hit-and-run tactics. By building fortified bridges to stop Viking ships and building ships, to stop them before going ashore, and making stronger defenses, like walled settlements, basically. So you can think of it as Viking bronze got outsmarted by technology. Yeah. And then Vikings, they can't make money off of it anymore, and then they started to go to trade more and more, and then Jesus paid them a visit, and now they're all Christians. And once they became Christians, they noticed how poo-poo they were living. And after they noticed how poo-poo they were living, they decided to say, screw it, that's my old lifestyle, and convert. And then marks the end of the Viking Age. That's the end.
Oh.